Yo, what's up gamers, KFDzero here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about a topic that someone had raised, just about why I sleeve my cards upside down. Obviously it's my personal choice of why I do that, but mainly two main reasons I do it. The first one is, and then I'm going to end up going to sleeving and how I sleeve. The first reason I do it is because I sleeve all my cards before I put them into binders. And I do like using, I know these aren't the perfect binders, these are actually, you know, prone to scratching cards, and it's pretty flimsy, not great quality, and cards can fall out of them. But sorry, this is my kids folder, by the way. I couldn't find my one. They've sort of hidden it somewhere. But these ones here, if you sleeve them the right way up, the card's not very protected, especially up the top. So you see that here, it's actually, the sleeve is upside down. The sleeve is this way here. That's the sleeve. And then so when you put them in, first off, when you sleeve your cards, they don't tend to fall out as easily. If you don't sleeve your cards in these binders, any sort of tip and they will fall out. So in this case here, yes, you can shuffle it and it'll probably fall, but you can see I am wiggling it a little bit and it is coming out. But if you don't sleeve them, they'll just fall straight out. So you do need a bit of care in these folders, and cards can come out even if you sort of sleeve it. But the cards are more protected when you sleeve them. So if I was saying before, let me just find a page like this here, seems pretty blank, for example. I'm just going to do a quick example of some cards. So I'm just going to grab these. Yeah, these are some of the leftover cards from some of the decks I've been making, just playing, having some fun with my kids. So here we go, normal card. And if I were to sleeve this, I did have a random sleeve lying around somewhere, don't know where it went now, it doesn't matter, I'll grab a new one. So this here is basically KMC perfect fit, standard size. I got it for about $10, normally for about 100, this Australian dollars. These are really good. They're my go-tos for sleeves. I don't test it for clarity or the strength of the sleeve. I'm normally after the size of it, if it fits good or not, and consistency of the fit. And I've found that the KMCs have always been very consistent with the sizes. So I sleeve this in upside down, and then if you then went and put it into this sleeve, into the binder. Sorry, I should put this up. So if I had this here, put it in the binder, in it goes. You're not going to damage the card because it's actually sleeved on the top. But if you were to put this upside down, normally I'm not going to sit there and pull cards in and out, especially in perfect fit sleeves. They are snug, but you can see that it's not so snug that you're gonna put too much pressure on the card. It goes in, but it is a snug fit. But on this way here, if you then put it into the folder, you can see that you can still damage your card up the top. Like any brushes against it, you're going to hit that card, especially when there's a lot of cards in there. So you can damage the top of the card. And getting them out of the folder, normally, again, when they're in the folder, I don't normally take them in and out. But again, when you're in a rush to get it out, especially if there's two cards, you're going to be trying to fish this, and you're going to end up, your hand's going to end up opening this up here. So that's the main reason I sleeve upside down. Just to prevent that. Now the second reason I sleeve upside down is actually when I'm actually gaming with some of these cards. Generally I don't game with the standard and common cards because you get so many of them anyway. But let me just put this away first. But with the actual rarer cards, they still cost a bit of money. Even the more common rarer cards, you're still talking about, you know, anywhere $5 to $30 for some cards. So I've just got an example here of one of my sort of play decks I play with my kid. So for example, the VMAX here, I need a few of them in the deck. So if you're talking about 2 or 3 of them, doesn't matter. You know, these at one stage were going for, like, you know, $20 Australian. You buy 4 of them, it's $80. So you want to minimize that, so you may have pulled 1 or 2. Obviously there is that deck you can get which gives you like all 4 cards or 3 copies at least, but prior to that, for example, it could be any other card. When I do play, it's not ultra competitive in any way. It is semi competitive with my little kid, but it's not ultra competitive. We don't need for every card. We experiment a little bit, and in that way I'm not going to sit there and go, I'm going to spend another $30 on a card. I've already pulled one or pulled two. I'll use them, but I don't rifle my cards, so I'm not worried about that. But that's the other reason why I would then go and double sleeve the card to give it a bit more protection. But when you do double sleeve, and of course these sleeves, you can't play with these, it's slippery and they're flimsy and they're not great. But I'm not a fan of just a single sleeve, because then I use the gaming sleeve in the binder, and I just don't like it, and I like the double sleeve protection. So again, another reason why I am able to do that is, just say this was in my folder, I need to play with this card, I decide to try out the card, so it's not a fixed deck, I'm just testing it out just because I want to have some fun with the card. I enjoy a character, whatever it might be, and go, look, I want to just try use this card because he looks fun, or the Pokemon looks fun, apologies. I'll just get it out of the sleeve, out of the folder, and then because it's fed in from the bottom, I can then just go straight into a playing sleeve, and I can start playing with it. Whereas if you do the top feed, then chances are you will damage the card up on top. So that's another reason why I do that. So yeah, again, I can just go through the folder. So for an example, I might go through one of these ones. This is the current folder I've got. But for example, you go through the back of the cards, and you see some of these cards here, and you go, okay, Nido King, he looks pretty cool, I'll play with him. I can just get that card out, hold on. Let me just slide that card out, for example. So here we go, Nido King. I'm going to play this Nido King because I want to try him out, because he's like the Nido King looks pretty cool, but because it's already bottom sleeved, I can then just go straight into my sort of playing sleeves, whichever one I decide to use, and I can just go straight in there and gently slide it in, and there you go, it's ready to play. And I don't have to worry about damaging it up on top because it is protected up on top, and I can just test it out and play with it. And then if it works great, I keep it in a deck for a little bit to play with, and if it's really good and I want to keep that as a permanent deck, then I may look for a second version if it's cheap enough. Or I might decide, you know what, I've had my fun, probably never going to use him again for my deck, for my semi-competitive or even playing deck. Then I just take it back out and put it back in my folder for collection purposes. I can't afford to just keep buying cards for buying cards' sake, or playing the actual card game. Can't afford that, so use what we have on hand and save as much money, because it may be only $5, it may only be $10, but that's another booster pack, right? And other things, but if you want to buy another booster pack, that's another booster pack. So that's that there, and that's the main reasons why I would sleeve upside down. It just makes everything easier, and I'm not stuck using this type of folders. And I do prefer these for sure, the side loading folders. These generally, the cards don't fall out, better quality, less likelihood of scratches and whatnot. But since I sleeve all my cards, the likelihood of scratching is not the biggest issue I have. But I do prefer the quality of the side loaders. But as you know, I do prefer the Pokemon themed folders, because I'm collecting Pokemon, so I don't want just a bland Ultra Pro folder, for example. They cost more because it's a licensed product, but I do prefer it. But they don't always release these side folders, and they do a lot more of the other folders, and that allows me to throw in all the random cards, all the extra cards I have, anything special collections I want to do with all my leftovers, for example. Then I can use just the standard folders. Still, I don't want any cards damaged. So, but again, personal preference. If you're using these side loaders here, then, or the side loading sleeve folders, it doesn't really matter which way you sleeve it, so you can sleeve it upwards. But because there is potential for me to use those cards to game with, just to test things out, and there it is there, that's what I'll do. But I decided, while I'm here talking about why I sleeve upside down, I'm here anyway, so I might as well talk about the sleeves I use. Now, if you want to learn more about the quality of the sleeves and how waterproof or how dustproof and all that other thing, all those little bits and pieces, the Professor does a really good job at the Tolarian University channel. He's done plenty of these videos about that, so definitely visit his channel. I'll link it in the description below for those that are interested in watching him go through all the torture tests of of sleeves. As I said, I'm mainly interested in obviously the quality, but more likely the quality and the consistency of the sleeves, because I do want to use them for gaming. I don't want the potential for gaming. I don't want the sleeve sizes to be bigger and smaller, and then I struggle to fit double sleeve them, and then I have to pull the card out and change the sleeve over, and it's just a pain. So I use these a lot, the KMC Perfect Fits, and yes, they cost a little bit more than your typical sleeves, but they do a great job, and I've never had an issue with them. The next one I would recommend, Dragon Shields are really good. As you can see, cheaper again. I haven't had many issues with these ones either. They've been pretty good. Overall, I haven't used enough of these for me to make a valid comment. I've used, I think, about 3 packs of these, and all 3 have been decent. I haven't had consistency issues with them. But I guess, you know, mentally, I've used so many of these that they just seem to work, never have a problem. But whenever I can't find these, I'll pick up these, and I'm still just as happy. If I can find more of these, I might actually get more of them later on just to try a few more, but they always seem to be out of stock. Maybe it's just because it's cheaper and they're still good. The standard Ultimate Guard are pretty horrible. I'm not a fan of them. They vary so much in consistency. Some will be too tight, some will be a little bit tight, and some will be pretty loose. And then you put in a VMAX, sometimes they fit, other times it bends the card slightly. So not a fan of the standard ones. Whereas I got told to try the katanas out, and I found them consistency. There is one sleeve that is actually smaller than all of them. So I was told that there is actually 101 sleeves in this, and there is one sleeve, the very back one or front one, depending which way you open it, is slightly smaller and does not fit the thicker Pokemon cards. So any of the special cards, so the VMAXs, any of the alternate art cards, anything that has any texture on it, it does not fit that card in. But it fits a standard card in, so the extra sleeve will fit one of these in. It will be a very snug fit, but it fits. It doesn't bend the card, it just fits. Whereas, yeah, anything else and it bends it, but that's only that extra one. The rest of them I haven't had many issues with, but I have noticed some consistency, whereas some of the sleeves are a bit looser and some of them are a little bit of a snugger fit. And it's more so when you get to sort of, like I said, the VMAXs and things like that, they like there was a time when one of them would just bend it slightly because it's that fraction, like it's such a small difference, but it's small enough to just bend it slightly. So you're saying the card's just like this and it was just slightly bent like that, it's ever so slightly, but still not good enough. And then another sleeve would just fit it in snugly though, it will still fit. So there is some consistency, but it is so minor, but still there. So personally, I probably wouldn't use that for that reason. Like, I just bought this to try it out because my local game shop had sold out on all the KMCs and all the Dragon Shields. So that's just my personal opinion on that. Just a quick update, I forgot to mention in the original recording, something else that is slightly annoying with the Ultimate Guard Katana sleeves is the separation of the sleeve itself. So when you open up one of these, quite a few of them, if you take it out, the sleeve out, so it's definitely opens on this end here normally, so that's the sealed end here, that's the opened end there. But if I sort of do the usual, I know it's going to be hard to see because it is clear, when I do the usual sort of open, so that opens up, but some of them just do not want to open up easily. So here we go, so this is the next one, so that one opened up fairly easily, but you can see I'm trying to open this up now, and yes, now it's opened. And some of them are harder to open than others, so that one was already a little bit harder to just slide open. Like typically you would just sort of put some pressure on, slide it, and it'll open. But there are some that just do not want to open, and you're putting so much pressure on that after you're done, so you can already see that there's a slight dimple there. You see that? That's from me putting the amount of pressure on it just to open it, and then it's creased it slightly. That's not too bad, it's only a minor thing on this particular one, but some of them are actually so tight where you just sitting there with 2 hands trying to open up getting the opening, and it just won't open, and then you get too far and then you've bent the sleeve and you've put an actual crease in it, so then the sleeve's useless. or there was one that I just could not do, and I'm sitting there trying to sort of just slowly trying to peel it apart at the top to open it. And then once it's open, then yes, it's obviously a lot easier to do once they're opened. But I found that to be a bit of a issue on some of them, whereas said the KMC ones, I've never generally had that problem. So once I get the sleeve out, they always open, like, you know, fresh sleeve. I'll just do another one here, so fresh sleeve again, see, opened again. They don't take much effort to open. Some of them, like that one there, was a very slight thing, but it still opens fairly quickly. There's no issues I've ever had with KMCs or the Dragon Shields from memory with that actually happening. So and again, for those that missed it, this is my sort of sleeve, like just me sleeve disposer of some sort. So it's pretty much just the typical build and battle collection boxes. I just put the sleeves in. Normally I try and keep them the same direction, so it's, you know, you from memory you go open up and there's the sleeve. I just put them in like that. I just stick that on there so I know these are the perfect fits. And I generally just on the bottom of this, just trying not to damage the sleeves, I just cut a little thing there for my thumb to come out, cut a little hole there, and yeah, and then from that I can then just do that and out comes a sleeve. So it's pretty easy, and I sort of have this sitting on the side where the side bench is, you know, about this much taller than the rest of it, and I have it sitting there, so this bit here is on the edge. I can't really show you, it's a bit hard, but it's almost like doing this. I sit it on a bench that's like that, a little bit higher, and I just grab it, and I can just always just grab another sleeve and start sleeving cards straight away as I start pulling, rather than sitting here, hold on, you know, open up this bag and grab it, and then the sleeve gets stuck on the sticky bit and all that stuff. But that's just something that I do. And the good thing about this is once you're kind of done with it, you can always get the cover, the build and battle pots, build and battle set sleeve, the cover, put it back on, and then now generally speaking you're not going to get dust or dirt or damage the sleeves because they're kind of in here. So it's all good, and that's it. Anyway, back to the original video. And then penny sleeves, these are obviously really big. They're just there for you to either put it away very quickly so you don't have to worry about losing the card, or if you don't have anything on hand, these are really good just to grab on hand because they're half the price. It's like $5 or whatever it is for a card. So where's my random cards here? I've got some random cards in here that I've got some leftovers from me building decks, as I said. So here, for example, you slide it in whichever way, doesn't matter. See, it's very loose fit in here. It's just for you to put it in as a quick protection method, and because it is nice and loose fitting, with enough protection, it allows you to take the card in and out of the sleeve just for transport reasons or whatever. Whereas obviously the perfect fits, they are snug. You don't want to be moving the card in and out of those sleeves constantly. And if I didn't mention, that's why I do upside down, so you're not sitting there pulling cards out when you're double sleeving for gaming. So that's what the penny sleeves are for, quick protection. Very good just to throw in, and you can put it away, not if you need to transport it, or if you're intending to, it's a double or the triple of a card and you're intending to probably sell it. Like sometimes I do sell some of my spares. That allows me to buy some more cards, for example. I would probably just sleeve it in a penny sleeve, put it away. If it's of a higher value, then I put it into a top loader as well, and that allows that. But yeah, not for gaming. You can't double sleeve this at all in any shape, way or form. It's not going to fit. Now the other thing I do with some of these more expensive cards, or cards I know I'm probably going to play with and it is an expensive card, I actually use something called the Perfect Fit Hard. Now these ones here are slightly thicker and they are a harder card, a harder fit. So I'll just do a quick demonstration of, you don't really notice it, but you feel it. You do feel it, that it is thicker. It is a thicker sleeve and it's a tighter sleeve. As a matter of fact, this one here is a Perfect Fit Hard because, like I said, I know I was going to play it. The moment I saw it, I'm going to be gaming with this because it is a good card. I'll just show you as an example. You probably can't tell just by videoing the difference. You're not going to see the difference in the thickness unless there's multiples there, but it is there. It is noticeable. And if I really wanted to, like when I actually game with this card and I was really wanted to cheat, you can actually, the difference is enough in the set that you probably can cheat a little bit. And you can see it's a really snug fit getting that back into this one here. See, it's a very snug fit because it is slightly thicker. And it was the white set, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the white set. So just see this card set here. Yep. So obviously that's been in and out and display and back in here again, but because it's already in a hard sleeve, it's not going to damage the card. But if I can show you, for example, I'll just grab a few cards out of this set of mine, just see if you can see an example. So you can tell these are the harder sleeved ones. Like any of the V's I normally put in a hard sleeve anyway, knowing I'm going to game with them. But the moment you put this card in here, say the thicker one, it may not look it in here, you don't probably see it, but if I put them together, it's probably a better way of doing it if I put them all together. So you can tell that, you can see by the color, like you can see that those three have more separation, and that's because of the perfect fit. It's a harder fit, and you can, you know, if you, like I said, if you really wanted to, you can sort of cheat a bit. I don't recommend cheating, by the way, don't do that. I said I'm not playing competition, so it doesn't matter. I'm not doing anything of that sort, and I intentionally don't look at the cards when I'm shuffling, and sometimes you might get caught that way, but I get my kid to cut the cards and do what he wants to do, to try and keep it as consistent as possible. And my shuffling really is, I do shuffling like this, and I do, you know, that sort of, I do shuffling like this. I don't, I don't actually sort of rifle the cards. As I said, some of my cards go back in the display binders. And when I first start the actual shuffle, I actually put them out like that, and you know, you pile them up into my 6 piles of 10 cards, and then put them back together, and then go through it. That's my normal way of doing it. So that's that there with the perfect fit hards, and they're really good. But the problem is you have a whole deck full of the perfect fit hards, and your deck grows in size slightly. I actually don't have an example of that. I probably should for another video to just leave up a whole deck as a demonstration of the height differences. I think the professor actually does that in the Tolarian University. And what else I was going to say? Yep. So that's just you know, these sleeves are really good. I do like the Dragon Shield sleeves. They're really good shuffling, really good. They're slippery, but not too slippery, and they don't get stuck on each other, unlike the Pokemon, the typical sleeves that you get out of an Elite Trainer box. Those ones are a pain, but I'll show you what I do with them next. But anyway, the next thing is these one-touches. I sleeve my cards to go into one-touches as well. So obviously penny sleeve isn't going to work. Let me just open this very quickly. So the one-touch and the Ultimate Guard equivalents and all them, they're all very similar in size. But if you look at this card here, the Rayquaza V, love this card. It's actually sleeved. You can tell that there is a sleeve on here. It's actually got a perfect fit KMC. So KMC perfect fits, and it perfectly fits in there. As you can see, it doesn't actually lift over it in any way. It is a perfect fit, and it goes in there. The top of it goes in there perfectly. It's exactly that. See, it's absolutely perfect, and that protects the card as well. So from inside here, because sometimes because you can see there is a slight, ever so slight gap around the card itself. I mean, obviously it's taken up by the sleeve, so it's not going to move. I can shake this around, it's not moving anywhere. But if you don't have this, and this gets transported, not that you should be transporting it, but it does move around, and you can scratch the card because it isn't perfectly fit in there. But like I said, KMC, this is the only ones that I can actually get to fit in here perfectly. Even I think with the dragon shields, it's ever so slight that there's a light curl on the edge of it or something, and you can just see it's not quite there. It's sort of not really curled, but you know, it bubbles slightly, but it's not going to damage the card, but you can tell the sleeve is not quite perfectly fitting sitting inside, whereas this one here, it is perfectly fitting inside here. So that's that there. The final thing I was going to say was that if you were to want to play with the ETB cards, something I do is then I go into a triple sleeve mode, which is insanely thick to deck. It's just crazy. And then you can use the KMC matte and clear character sleeve. There are different types you can get. I use the matte and clear. There's a matte and clear character one where it's got a border around it as well, but then you don't actually get to see the actual card. So for example, I'm just going to open up my one here. Hold on, let me get this out. So this is my triple sleeve deck. So here we go. So that's got 3 sleeves in there, and because there's the Rayquaza. This is my Rayquaza deck of old. Still love the deck. Not competitive, but still cool, nice fun. I still use the Pokemon sleeve, but as you know, Pokemon card sleeves, they're shiny and the cards get stuck sometimes, and it's not great, and the quality's not good. They tend to, I've heard they rip and everything else, so not great. The more you shuffle, I know my kids had used his ones before without another outer, and yeah, after a while it gets pretty damaged and scuffed pretty quickly. So what I do is I do this. So yep, it's sleeved upside down, usual story, inside this sleeve, and then I go nuts and go, okay, I'm going to get another one. So with the matte and clears, this side here is glossy and smooth, and this side here is textured. So I'd normally put it back this way. So yes, it's double opening, but it is upside down here, so the card is still protected. And there you go. If you really wanted to go the other way, there was a stage where I tried to go in this way as well, so the openings do not match, so that's a sealed end as well. But the problem is you start reading it, and eventually the card starts wanting to slide out a little bit, and then you're constantly pushing it back in just because you're going this way. So I've decided to more recently go back just the normal direction, and yes, it is open on the top, but it doesn't matter because that is a double, that is got an inner sleeve, that's the other way around, so it's still fine. And that is a massive deck. Like, that's your 60 card deck, I believe. I don't think it spills in the next folder, but that's a 60 card deck, and normally like a 60 card deck is probably like that, no sleeves. That's probably a 60 card deck. That's triple sleeving, so it's crazy how much bigger the deck gets, even if you really squash it. And double sleeving, where's my double sleeved deck, is here. So there's my double sleeve deck, so you can see the difference in here in height. Double sleeve versus triple sleeve. And then if you go perfect hards for all your cards, it probably adds, I reckon, as a guesstimate, it'll probably add about this much to it. So it's sufficient. So yeah, so that's that there. Now, card shuffle feel wise, it's definitely not as good as the Dragon Shields. Like, the Dragon Shields are really good. So I did get told that relatively new product, like when I put these decks together, these weren't available. So rather than using the matte and clears, and these only come in 60s as well, so it's perfect for exactly one deck, so 60 pieces. And if you break one, you have to get another pack and open up half a pack, which I don't like the 60s. I just put everything. If you get a bit more, even if it's 7, you get some spares. But this here, I have not actually tried this. So you can see it's completely sealed. Never tried it, so what better time than right now? And as I keep saying in some other videos, I've changed the blade, so it should be nice and sharp now. So as you can see, it just cuts right through. There you go. Oops. Probably don't need to see me cutting this. So go like that. There you go. Remember, kids, get your parents to help you if you ever use a knife. Don't go on your own. Be careful. Sharp. Anyway, open up this here. Let me just see how this sleeve is, and I'll compare it with the clear. Oh yeah, so I feel the texture difference already. It feels like a Dragon Shield texture. I'm just going to grab one of these ones here rather than opening that. Get this card here. So if you can see the comparison, they do look, if you look closely enough, they might look close, but this here, it's got a more even, the texture, you can see it's more even. This here, it's got larger lumps and then smaller lumps. The texture is not as even. That's what I've always felt with these ones, whereas this here feels like a typical Dragon Shield. Let me just try and have a look at one of the typical Dragon Shield ones. Yep, so there you go. Typical Dragon Shield feel. So I reckon these would feel really good. These ones here are a bit, it feels a bit thicker. So the character sleeves do feel a little bit thicker, slightly. And yeah, this feels pretty good. I'm gonna try it. Let me see how well it fits with my typical setup. And it already feels like a tighter fit. So that is already a tighter fit. So yeah, that's a tighter fit already. So that was quite a loose fit before. Slightly bigger, are they? Maybe slightly. It's about the same. It looks about the same. It's a little bit. It's just a hair, like literally just a hair. You can probably just see it on the camera where it's just the KMC one is just a fraction, like a fraction more. So yeah, and getting it out, it's probably gonna be a little bit harder too. No, it's alright. There you go, done. So I'm gonna keep it consistent. So obviously these are slightly stretched, I would say stretched, but yeah, you can see how easily I can get that in. Obviously this is a little bit stretched just because I've already played the cards and put them in, squished them and done all sorts of stuff to it. So not fresh out of the pack. But yeah, so these weren't cheap. I can't remember how much they were, but they were definitely more expensive than these matte and clears. But I feel that these ones are actually quite good. I'm gonna have to try them on a deck. So I think in a different video, I'll probably try and compare the size differences between how I do it. So obviously, you know, no sleeve, single sleeve, double sleeve, maybe double sleeve with all the perfect cards, and then triple sleeving with these. But that's in a future video, don't know when. We will see when I get time to do it. I said I wasn't planning on making this video, it's more just showing you why I would put my sleeves in upside down, and understand that it might drive some people mental, but that's the reasoning for it mainly. And then I got into sleeving anyway. But yeah, so till next time, probably unbox some more 151 products. And yeah, anyway, hope you all had a wonderful day. Wish you best of luck with all your pulls, and hope you found this video semi-informative at least. And I will link in the description below where the professor goes through his rigorous sort of testing methodology of the various sleeves. Anyway, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.